Hi everyone, it's Siva from Wiser Humans, and I am here with Josana from Swiss Delivery, which is a new platform that has just been created. And Josana created this platform at the start of this pandemic, and I'm really excited to have her here because she has a really interesting
Thank you.
story, and I find it very inspiring. So thank you, Josana, for joining
Thank you
us.
for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about with this idea and just any
hmm
background on it?
Yeah, my name is Josana, as mentioned. It's very interesting because, I live in Geneva for about 14 years now.
Mhm.
And I always, it's part of me to always try to find new products, new services, and it was also part of me being integrated in Switzerland. I wanted to really integrate myself here and not depend on things back in Brazil where I'm from. In the beginning, I was still going to my hairdresser in Brazil,
Okay.
my dentist in Brazil, because I still didn't hadn't find my life here. So
Yes.
it was part of my goal to discover those. So I always enjoyed it. Um, and and during the beginning of the COVID, it was on the 8th of March, I decided I would stay home because I am a person at risk.
Hmm.
So I have 40% of my lung capacity working. So of course, this virus could be very dangerous for me, and
Yes.
my doctor advised, please stay home. Um, so I decided I wouldn't go out. I didn't expect to be as long as it is now.
Yeah.
I think we didn't see
I
it
don't think
coming.
anyone saw that coming.
So for me, it's like, okay, I'll stay at home for a week and see how it goes because it was very much in the beginning. So when that started, I started to look for delivery alternatives,
Hmm.
uh, like like the normal deliveries. I entered in Coop, I entered in Migros, and their delivery slots were already like a week after.
Yes.
And I was very surprised. I was like, it didn't even start, and then you couldn't find the product. Um, and and I do have family of my fiance in Switzerland that are more older, and I wanted also to buy for them. And I was like, how is this gonna work? That the virus hasn't even started,
Mm.
and they're already getting out of stock, and uh, they're not gonna keep it up with the delivery demand because let's face it, Switzerland was not prepared for the delivery
No.
need compared to some of the other countries. So I start to make a list for myself and thinking about some people around me who would probably need as well, being other people at risk. And I knew some of them already because I used those services uh, sometimes. And so I start to call them, contact them, and say, "Are you guys delivering? Are you guys still working? How is it?" And they were like, "Yes, yes, yes." They were very welcoming, and because most of people don't know those small businesses and
Hmm.
producers, so I made a small list. It was half of a paper with few addresses, vegetables, fruits, beverages, like the basic stuff. And I start to share, and I shared with the people at risk. And after I start to share with other people, and suddenly everyone was in confinement.
Yes.
And and then my friends were like, "Can I share with my friends?" And I was like, "Yes." "Can I share with my family?" "Yes." I was like, it's a public list, like it's
It
not
went
a
viral,
secret.
actually.
And and it went everywhere.
Yes.
And I started to add more business because I started to see like the first place I put in the list became completely overwhelmed. And their delivery slot starts to be 2 weeks after. And then people were asking me for other alternatives because they were like, "Oh, what is on your list? It's already fully booked." So I
Mm.
start to search for more. And um, and then the list at the end became a 23-page list.
Wow.
And
23 pages.
yes,
Wow.
but it was impossible because then I had created the Facebook group and I was sharing every day an updated PDF list. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, I had people asking for that list through WhatsApp, through email. People were asking about this list everywhere, and not everyone has Facebook. So I was getting overwhelmed. And then some people are like, "Oh, you forgot to send me the updated list. Oh, do you have an updated list?" So I was
Wow.
like, "Okay, it's time to create a website."
Uh-huh.
And then it was, yeah, that was the hardest moment, the creation of the website, because it got ready in less than 4 days,
Okay.
from the idea to the time of the release.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest was to update the list, uh, reply to all messages. There was sometimes 300 by the time I would wake up,
Wow.
uh, and create the website with my brother in Brazil.
Okay. So your brother actually created this website with,
Yes,
so that the 23-page PDF has now become a website.
yes,
And I imagine that there's still ongoing work of updating it and keeping it. I've noticed that there's people like new suppliers that are being added almost every day as well. Um,
yes.
yeah. And the
So
list is, I mean, the website is actually, it's nationwide. So it's all of Switzerland,
it's all of Switzerland.
not just Geneva.
Yeah,
Um,
one canton that I'm still building is Ticino.
okay.
So it's just by chance that for me it was very hard to find the local producers and small business in Ticino. And also in the Facebook group we have very few people from Ticino.
Hmm.
So the very few ones, they are sending me these tips. So I'm combining and I need to put them all in the website.
Okay.
Uh, but there are a lot of businesses that deliver to the whole Switzerland.
Yes.
And I mean it's still very local because Switzerland is so small.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Um, and you know, I've been using the website as well, and
Oh,
I
good.
and I feel like it's so helpful. I've actually signed up to a like a fruit and vegetable delivery every 2 weeks because I live alone. So
Nice.
it's a lot. Like you know, the baskets, it's a lot, but
Yes.
it's really great, and it's so helpful right now. You know, during this time, and I would like to continue it also afterwards.
Hmm.
And so I'm wondering if you could share, what would you say is the most important thing for you about, you know, the buying local as much as possible, you know,
Hmm.
prioritizing these smaller producers. Um,
Hmm.
why does that matter to you?
So, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is the discovery of very high quality products.
Yes,
And we don't feel the difference until we taste it.
that's so true. Yeah.
Uh, and the second thing is that it's not more expensive than in the big chains.
Mm,
You have from all prices, of course, but you can still find in the platform you have from all price ranges, and you can still find things that I there were vegetables and fruit baskets from 15 francs, which is very reasonable for a good amount of
mm,
vegetables and fruits. And I would think that in a big chain, you could even spend more.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not organic and it's not a small business and etc. So I think the quality and price are two very important aspects. The third is, of course, helping the community
Hmm.
and helping the local communities. This is and I was searching for studies around that, and there are a lot of studies in the US. There are not studies in Switzerland, but I find it's a little bit common sense that it would apply it here. That at every dollar is spent locally in a small business, 45 cents comes back to the community,
Okay.
and at every dollar spent in a big chain, 15 cents comes back to the community. So it's way less.
Okay.
And this is because, of course, big chains, they have shareholders. They also want to reinvest in other places. So not always that money comes back to the same community where the product was bought, the profit.
Okay.
So I think this is something that uh, people need to reflect
Hmm.
that, of course, helping those small business in your area, you're helping yourself, you're helping your own community.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like you mentioned, the quality is amazing. Like I've never had
Yes.
such good fruits and vegetables and dairy as well. And there's also products that are not easy to find in, in the bigger stores as well that I've discovered through these smaller producers. So it's quite
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And also, like you said, there's the benefit to the people who are making and
Mm-hmm.
distributing this food, and that
Mm-hmm.
there's a greater equity as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it goes back to what you were saying about what um, what motivated you to start this project was actually that you needed to help yourself first. This was about
Mm-hmm.
making it easier for yourself and giving yourself these options, and then the people that you care about, your
Mm-hmm.
close people, and then it became something bigger that is helpful to other people as well. But
Mm-hmm.
it's really important also that it's not just something you're doing out of the goodness of your heart. It's also something that's benefiting, that started off as, I want to do
Mm-hmm.
this for myself, because
Mm-hmm.
I really believe it's really when we're doing something because we want to and we need it and it's important to us, that we are also helping other people. um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the
And it's
same.
something I highly believe. And I always wanted to make this switch. And uh, at 1 month, 2 years ago, I did a month without any big chain.
Okay.
It's usually in February that people do that. Like in January, people do veganuary and or dry January. There is
Yes.
a February without any big chain. And I did that, but of course, I didn't have time to research so much. So I managed, but it was not as smooth as now, because now I know all, like there is the platform
Yeah.
and it's very easy to find. And at the time, I didn't research a lot. So there were times that I wanted tomato, but I couldn't find tomato.
Yes.
So I had something else. So I was living a little bit on what I could find
Hmm.
than rather than what I wanted. And now it's a month, in more than a month in confinement. I'm actually eating better than any other time.
Okay. That's wonderful. And
Yeah,
also it sounds like it was already in line with your values, and that you used
yeah,
this strange time to go even deeper into that and make
yeah.
something that others can benefit from.
I
Um,
ate amazing artichokes. Like it feels like I'm in a restaurant every day.
that's wonderful. Well, yeah, and also since we can't go to restaurants, I think we're all becoming a bit
Exactly.
more creative about what we cook. And have you made bread like on a
Yes, I
scale?
made bread. Uh, and first time in my life, I'm a terrible baker.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Everything I baked in the past was a disaster. So I really didn't believe this bread would go well,
Okay.
but it did.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah. But
um,
I used a flour from this small business, based in Zug, I think they are.
okay.
And it's a very nice flour. And I think that's a little bit the secret.
Possibly. Yeah. I'm wondering, what has the reaction been like from the suppliers?
Hmm.
Have they been happy to have this platform? Has it made a difference for them? Do you know yet?
Hmm.
I mean, still.
Yeah. So I think both businesses and consumers have the same reaction.
Hmm.
That's very interesting, because even when I started, I thought I would have a lot of critics, because there there are always critics on everything.
Yes, so true.
and and I was expecting that. And I didn't know how people would criticize, but I was expecting. But it was far the opposite. I also expected that some business would be like, oh, please remove me from the list. Or I had a lot of orders, because I know few of the business, they had more than 100 orders thanks to Swiss Delivery.
Wow.
And I thought they would ask to be removed, which was never the case. Instead of that, they were very thankful.
Okay, that's
So
wonderful.
they're super happy, because there was never such a visibility. for those businesses before.
Mm.
They were all in their separate corners. Uh, I also started the platform in English because I'm more comfortable with it. If I had to do it in French, it wouldn't be ready by now. And
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so it was just a matter of urgency. And but in the end, of course, there are negative points because if I had in French, in German, and Italian, or in Romansh, I could get the whole country who don't speak English. However, there is always a positive in the negative, which is um, that it's one platform that Switzerland is all together.
Mm. Yes.
Um, and we end up in the French part learning how things work in the German part, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. And this also the community in Facebook that has more than 3,000 very active members,
Mm.
and very nice people. It's always fun to see the interaction between the Swiss German and the Swiss Romande,
Oh, yes.
and see that they discover things from each other.
Yeah. So it's also something about that unity as well that you're
Yeah,
creating. Yeah.
and also for the expat community. And there was one couple who moved from England, um, and they wrote me, "Oh, thanks to you, we could eat in our first weeks in Switzerland because we couldn't find
Yeah.
anything."
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful that you're getting such positive feedback from people on both sides, both the consumers
Hmm.
and the suppliers. Um, I'm wondering what future do you see for this platform, once maybe we go back to more normal life? What is your
So
hope? What is your hope?
my hope is that people truly change their habits,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not only a matter of emergency and need, but also a consciousness that people can have in the sense of uh, everything that we mentioned before: eating better products, not paying much more expensive, and also helping their community, because even though the confinement might end very soon, this crisis is going to remain for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the time that, at least I see in Switzerland, and I saw in few other countries, there are few other initiatives that are similar, but in Switzerland it's very strong because there are other platforms. There is Coca that is doing a big help for smaller
Mm-hmm.
businesses, and there are a lot of complementary support going towards to the same direction,
Yes.
which shows that people are having this consciousness.
Yes.
And this is the only way that we can make the crisis smoother.
Yeah. 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 And I
Because,
think,
yeah,
go on.
no, because if we keep with the habits we had before, uh, a lot of those businesses, and those businesses are impacted by the local communities because they having uh, employees, and they support the community somehow. They pay
Mm-hmm.
rent locally, they spend their money locally,
Yes.
otherwise they're not going to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's also something really important in our choices as people who are buying even just basic things like food. It's what world are we saying yes to?
Hmm.
With our choices, and are we saying yes to a world where maybe people are treated more fairly in how they work, in where they work, and also how animals and even just the earth and the soil and everything are treated. I think there's really
Hmm.
a lot of choice in the websites that are on your platform
Hmm.
to to be able to make these more conscious choices that are in harmony with ourselves and also with the earth and with nature and with these local businesses. And so I feel like it's
Hmm.
really a platform where everyone benefits in a way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that the lack of criticism, in a way, it's maybe because everyone sees a benefit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, there is a lot to criticize because there is a lot improvement to be made, but I'm glad that everyone can take a benefit, and it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah.
So the future and the present and the future, it's of course improve that the platform and make it easier for everyone. Now there are categories. I even put one category that is called funky discoveries,
Oh,
because I
okay.
discovered so many funky business that I had no clue it existed.
Okay.
So
Like
if you
what?
have the chance, go there. Well, there is um they're very funky ones, but there is a lot of plant-based food
Uh-huh.
that it's quite interesting. Also fermented food, and there is plastic-free pads for women.
Okay.
So there are a lot of interesting products that I was like, oh, I didn't really know that existed.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah,
But
and that's cool. Like it's very
I invite
niche.
you to go there and check
I
because
will
it's
definitely
funny.
do that. Yes.
And
Okay.
it's products that I never thought I needed, but when you look at it, I was like, actually, I need that.
I could need that. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
And so the present, the future is improving the platform and creating the movement, support local businesses.
Mm.
And
Okay.
this is something that I really hope it's gonna stay.
Yes. Yeah. And I hope, I mean, I do have the hope also that, out of what we're going through right now, which is not easy for, for many people, that we can create something meaningful also from it.
Hmm.
I just want to thank you for doing that already, for setting this example and using your own needs and your own desire to in the choices you want to make for yourself, something that also has meaning for other people. And so thank you so much
Thank you very
for
much.
for being here today and for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.